Hello, NFL fans. This is Tom Pollen, and no Dave Holcomb today. Dave has family flew into Atlanta yesterday and going to be entertaining the wife and his own family. So it'll just me doing the show solo. We're going to hope to have a guest a little bit later, hoping we can get Mad Mike on the show in a little while. But at the moment, we're going to keep moving forward with our Jackson Pigskin show on Atlanta Sports Unlimited. Remember to give the site a like on YouTube and support the show that way. You can also support the show by signing up for Prize Picks. Prize Picks, if you sign up for the site, and they will match your first $100 deposit if you use the promo code ASU. Atlanta Sports Unlimited, of course. So a great way to promote the show. Please promote the show. No, I'm just kidding. Great way to promote the show, promote the site, and we would love to. It's fun. You got, we're a little bit in in between series now. They do have Major League Baseball. We got the NBA playoffs coming up. So that's going to be fun over the next, I think, 6 weeks. If they can stretch, the NBA is getting to be like the NFL. If they can stretch the playoffs, stretch the season out even more than they have now, they'll do it. But you got NBA, you got NFL hockey. They got cricket back on the site, one of my favorites. And I always tease Dave every week about the fact that cricket, you can place player props on cricket on Prize Picks. So don't forget it. They got a lot of things you can do on a lot of options on Prize Picks for you to have a little bit of fun and enjoy your fantasy sports experience. All right, Pantera said, let's go. Let's do that. Let's go. You tell somebody's ready to talk football today. I'm all for it. What we have, it's interesting because this past week, and I've only heard about the second signing a little bit ago as I've been reading to prepare for the show. But what we have is 2 more signings by the Falcons this week. Well, one is a trade with the Detroit Lions for Jeff Okudah, cornerback. And we do have a signing of linebacker Bud Dupree, who started his career with the Steelers and is now playing, or last few years have been playing for the Tennessee Titans, and going to be in Atlanta this year. Let's look at Okudah first, because I think this has a lot to do with how the Falcons are going to run their draft. Gives me a little more feel for how the Falcons are going to run their draft coming up in about a week and a half. The draft is coming up quick, folks. So I know, and everybody loves talking about it. So, but I do think these moves have a bigger indication of how the Falcons are preparing their roster for a 2023 run. I said 2 weeks ago that I thought the Falcons were pointing to a 2023 run in the AFC South, looking at kind of the quality of the opposition this year, the quality of their quarterbacks. And I know the Falcons, there's no guarantee what Desmond Ridder is going to do this year, but it looks like the Falcons are doing everything they can to put pieces around Ridder that will be that will give them the chance to support him and really compete. Now, where the Falcons go from, if they get into, the division championship, where they go from there, who knows? I don't think this team is strong enough currently. Just looking at it on paper, this team is strong enough to overcome pretty much anybody in a playoff game, in the wild card round, which is probably where the Falcons would end up. So, but if you make the playoffs, you have a chance. There's no telling what can happen. It's a funny thing in the NFL playoffs. Tony Wright. Hey, Tom, how's it going? It's going great, Tony. I am here talking football with some of my favorite people. So I always enjoy that. I enjoy having all of you on for the ride. So Desmond Ridder will be fine. Yeah, I think he will. As I said last week, I've been saying 2 weeks now, I like what Ridder has done as far as his command of the huddle, which is something I think Marcus Mariota lost, is command of the huddle, and why the Falcons fell, when they did last season, because I don't think they had faith in Mariota. I think they do have faith in Ridder. I think they do. They will go out and play for Ridder. So it's going to be an interesting deal. But with these next two picks, I think really affect how the Falcons are going to move forward in 2023, because Okudah is a young cornerback. And one of the speculations about the Falcons was that they needed a younger cornerback than Cam Hayward, who was out most of the season last year. Who knows if he's still going to be in? And I'll be darned. We got Mad Mike. Mike is here. How's it going? I don't have audio on him yet, but I do see him. So we'll hope to get the audio going. And
there we go. We got him.
Got him? All right. Sounds great. Mike, great to have you on. We had a lot of fun this week, Mike. So great to have you here again this week. We've been going around on the draft quite a bit. And my thing is, I think the Falcons are building for a 2023 playoff run. Oh, we lost Mike. Okay. Well, let's move forward with Jeff Okudah. As I say, the speculation was that the Falcons, if they didn't take a corner in the first round, we're going to take a corner in the second round. Again, Tony, right? Jeff Okudah, very young quarterback, third overall draft pick in 2020. Spent his first 2 years fighting injuries. And I think that's a big reason why maybe Detroit decided to cut bait with him and move forward. So, it's an unfortunate thing, but it's an advantage for the Falcons because they get a guy who is considered the strongest cornerback coming out of his draft class. And, I know he hasn't lived up to his promise, but the Falcons only gave up a 5th round pick for him.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that a former 3rd round overall pick is worth a 5th round to bring in and hopefully see what we can do with him. How did you look at this signing, Mike?
I think it's more insurance than anything. It's kind of both the best of both worlds, where you have a young kid that hasn't lived up to the hype as far as the media and fan expectations is concerned. He had a pretty good year bouncing back from injuries, and you really don't have to accept. I think they have to May 1st to decide whether or not they want to take on that 5th year option. So it's a prove it deal for him. So it's like you give yourself security and you give him the security. Like if he balls out, he can go a free agency
Yep.
and he can get paid. So I think it was a genius deal by the Atlanta Falcons. And like I said, if he plays well, you have another corner outside of AJ Terrell, and you
Right.
go in the draft and get a younger guy, maybe in the 4th or 5th round that you can you know, kind of develop if
Mhm.
that plan doesn't well. So it's a win-win. I thought it was a brilliant move by the Atlanta Falcons. Honestly, I think this was an idiotic move by Detroit. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking. He was pretty good, but like I said, at the end of the day, it's like, are you sure that you're going to have a better corner than
Well,
him right now?
and that's the thing. And to me, it looks like the Lions are suddenly targeting a corner in the draft, either Gonzalez out of Oregon or
Right.
Witherspoon out of Illinois.
I'm a fan of Christian Gonzalez. I'm just not buying with the spoon. I think he's a crash test dummy. I think he plays a lot like Dante Robinson. It's like he just runs with reckless abandon, and that's not always safe, especially in this game. You got to
Right.
be under control. He plays out of control, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Gonzalez is the better prospect of the
Hmm.
two. And I think Detroit's going to take him now.
I
I
do.
think this move was made with the idea that Detroit is going to take one of the young corners coming out.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And the thing is, again, I had been speculating, 2 weeks ago when he did the show last week with Dave that um, a corner was a very real possibility for the Falcons in the first round. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think I'm with you. I think they go later in the draft, second round or uh, third round. They get, let's see, do they have? Yeah, they have a third round. So second round and third round, I think is going to be where they take a prospect as a cornerback and move on
Hmm.
from there.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. Um, I know it's defense. I like with the first round pick. I have pretty good information on where they want to go. Um, it just seems like they're making uh, a conservative effort to really focus on the defensive line in the trenches right now. They could have spent their money in any other space, but they decided to really focus on the D line, and it's something that the Falcons and the fans but like, they've been wanting to invest in the D line, and I
Yes.
think that's going to continue. Now, I did see something, and I want your opinion on it. Um, I saw an article earlier today that says that Peter Skoronsky, I hope I'm saying his name right,
Yeah.
they are projecting him to be like a Hall of Fame guard. I think people want to move him. He can play tackle, obviously, but I think they say he's better fitted to play guard, and that's a really interesting um that's a really interesting prospect because the Falcons left guard position is wide open.
Yep.
And Matthews is not getting any younger, so he can kind of be that that developmental plan or a backup plan
Right.
if
Right.
Matthews
Exactly.
decides to retire.
Yeah. You got a chance to give Skoronsky a year of experience, and if Matthews does step aside, then he has been an excellent tackle in college. The Big Ten is my area, so Skoronsky's has been, and Northwestern isn't far from me. So yeah, Skoronsky's been a quality offensive lineman, and he's going to go early. And I I think it's a very good possibility for the Falcons. I think there are a few good possibilities for the Falcons now. Because I don't, as I say, I don't think corner, but for some reason, I keep going back to Bijan Robinson. And that there's something inside my gut that says Bijan Robinson might, this is a weak spot. And I know you gave me a little bit of hell last week, Mike, about Cordero Patterson. And I agree, Cordero Patterson's a heck of a player. But I wish he would have stayed in Chicago. I really do. I don't know what the Bears were thinking at that point. Why they didn't keep him here in Chicago. We loved him here in Chicago. So I'm a big Patterson fan, but he's not. I don't know how to really state this. He's not necessarily he's kind of a hybrid running back. He does a lot of great things for you, especially if you get him out in space. Now, they do have Tyler Algier, who, as I say, gets a lot of great tough yards, a very tough runner, guy who will bowl people over. Tony Wright. No, the Falcons will not be drafting Bijan Robinson. Tony, I don't think they should. However, they keep signing players to cover areas that I thought might have been possibly covered by draft choices. I still think they are weak at running back, even with Patterson, even with Algier. Algier has no breakaway speed. As I saw Algier break through the second level last year, and Tyrann Mathieu basically kind of, looked at his at the clock, said, okay, I've given him a little bit of a head start, and now I'm going to come up, catch him, and that'll be it. And, Mathieu caught him easily. And I just can't, I love tough running backs. Again, Bears fan. That's tradition here.
Yeah, absolutely. Believe me, I know that. I'm a huge Bears enthusiast. I've always loved the Bears style of football.
Yeah. So, but they really don't have a running back who can do some of the things that, some of the top backs in the league can do for you. It's rough for me to watch. And I think they did fairly well after it was obvious Marcus Mariota had no idea what the hell was happening out there.
He had no clue. He had no idea how the passing game worked at all.
Nope. No. There's a play that stands out to me with Mariota. I forget the game, but I watched the All 22 on film on it just to see what Mariota was doing. And a play just stood out where he had Pitts. Kyle Pitts was just over the goal line and had turned. Now, any quarterback worth his salt would have gone bam, bam. He turns, I deliver the ball. Mariota didn't have the confidence to deliver the ball right on the mark. He looked away again, came back to Pitts, but by that time Pitts was covered. And it kind of emphasized what Marcus Mariota was with the Falcons last year, is just didn't have the confidence to be able to do those kind of things, didn't have the confidence to hit his wide receivers or to hit anybody, that he saw was open. He had to see if somebody was more open before he went back to Pitts.
Mm-hmm. That was my major pet peeve with him. I screamed at the TV so many times because guys were open, but in the NFL, it's like you have to learn to throw guys open at the quarterback positions.
Right.
Like even if they're like slightly covered, you got to know how to put the ball and where to put the ball.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, he would stand in the pocket, and he would pat the ball so many times before delivering it. and when he delivered it it was 3, 4 guys around the ball, around the player.
Right.
So it was just he was incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, that's the thing. He never hit the guy when he was open.
Never.
And just
Mhm.
really, and as I say, that Pitts play just stands out in my mind. I keep seeing it in my head. That, Pitts had found the hole where he needed to be to catch, make the catch, get the touchdown. And Mariota still didn't have the confidence. And
Mhm.
that was everything to me. Now we'll see what Ritter can do as far as these throws. If he has, give him a season in camp to work with these guys, to work with the
Mhm.
offensive coordinator, Ragone, and see what he can do. But at least, as I said before, I think Ritter has the confidence of the huddle. I think they feel good with Ritter on the field as a quarterback.
Yeah, what I like about Ritter is when his guy is open, he knows he has confidence in his guy to even make a throw. So he would throw to a spot. He would throw the ball for example, with Drake London. We know Drake London is a guy, and he's coming out of college. He's a guy that goes up and makes those tough catches. He
Yep.
goes up high. It's like even if Drake is covered, he knows Drake can make those throws. So even if it's
Right.
not a good throw, he believes in his receiver to go up to make that play. Like it's not even the fact that he's confident in the throw; he's confident in his receiver,
Confident in the
and
receiver. Right.
that's what you have to have as a quarterback. I think
Yep.
that comes with reps. That comes with being having a relationship with receivers and just spending time with them, and that's something that Mariota did not do. He did not do that. He didn't have an off-season program with the receivers, and you saw that on the field.
Yeah.
I don't know
Right.
how you can miss a 6'7" guy wide open and the ball go 20 feet in the air. That's like, what are we doing? That's crazy.
Right. So, yeah, but he's going to have a long career as a backup. So,
Yeah. Let me ask you this.
yeah,
I have to get your opinion on it. What in the bloody hell is he going to teach Jalen Hurts? He said he's going there to teach Jalen Hurts to help Jalen. What is he going to help him with?
he's got nothing to teach Jalen Hurts.
Okay,
Jalen Hurts can already throw the ball,
right.
5 times better than he can. So, yeah, there's nothing he has that he can offer Jalen Hurts. He can't even be a mentor to Jalen Hurts. That's it.
Right. Okay. I thought so. I thought so.
And we
Oh
saw
man.
Hurts hit some pretty damn good passes in the
Right.
playoffs here.
Yeah, and
So,
that's what he said that I'm going to Philly to help Jalen. Like, what are you gonna help with? How to not quit? Like, what are we doing?
right. Yeah, not in a million years.
Yeah, I was confused by that.
Uh-huh. So let's go back to Okuno for a little bit because there's a couple of things that I question. And again, he's young. He is so young. He's practically going to be a rookie in this defense. But there are a couple of things I saw on the advanced defense. One thing that worries me. Now, he gave up 59.7% as far as completions to targets. His yards per completion, I worry about because 14.8 yards per completion, that's a lot of yardage to give up when you're being targeted. If you're covering a wide receiver going downfield, you're allowing a lot of catches to average 14.8 yards per completion. Gives up 8.8 yards average per target. Now, his quarterback rating against is 87.6, not bad.
Hmm.
But to me, he's going to be a project for Ryan Nielsen and secondary coach Steve Jackson, they're going to have to do some work with him on his coverage skills, especially coverage skills deep and coverage skills using the sideline as his helper. And, the sideline is your friend when you're a cornerback. And
He's
it takes
really
guys
aggressive.
sometimes to learn that.
He's really aggressive. I think the thing that's going to help him is having a guy like Jesse Bates behind him.
Yeah,
Because Okuda is very good in short yardage on
right.
defense. He's very good. So I think having a safety over the top kind of helps him. He can be much more aggressive. The thing that I worry about is that Terrell is the left cornerback. I don't know if Okuda can play the right side. But they may be alternating. Um, but I think he's very good in the short yardage situation. So I think too, the cover Detroit uses a lot of cover three. And I
Mhm.
think that's a major problem for cornerbacks because they can't be as aggressive.
Right.
And if you don't have the length or the confidence of a Richard Sherman playing that cover three, you're going to give up a lot of yards deep. And we know that it being in the Dan Quinn system, that cover three for corners, it is a confidence killer. It's a confidence killer.
Yeah, and that's pretty much goes where I was looking at as far as his yards per completion is being aggressive. He got beat quite a bit. Um, but again, good coverage overall. But that's the weak point in his game. And that's where I want to see
Hmm.
what Jackson can do as a secondary coach to kind of rein him in, teach him a little bit. He started as a right cornerback. He played his first season as a right cornerback for
Oh
Detroit.
wow. Okay. Wow.
So um, it's not going to be unfamiliar to him. He's done that, but again, injuries have really hurt his opportunities and his development. This is a guy who really hasn't developed. Last year was his first chance at developing and actually getting. He had 15 starts and actually getting some NFL experience. He only had 7 starts up to that point. So, last year was basically his rookie season.
Right. Right. I think, like I said, I think they can bring him along slowly and put him in positions where he's strong. Falcons are really deep with veteran corners now, so I think they can bring him along slowly. They can put him in the slot. They can put him on the outside and have AJ Terrell travel a bit more. So they'll put him in positions where they can kind of hide his deficiency because you have a strong corner. And like
Right,
again, we have a Jesse Bates who's very good. He has extremely good range as a safety. He can play both free and strong safety with his size and athleticism. So they'll be able to hide his deficiencies a lot more. Um, and I think the Falcons' defensive line will be a lot better. Don't know, that for sure, but just based on the guys that they brought in, it's going to improve. How much? We don't know, but I think they'll be able to do a lot more and hide those corners. And also kind of throw Jerry Gray in there. He's a guy that's notorious for turning young players and young DBs and making them to stars.
yeah. So yeah, I think Acuna, even with that one flaw in his game, it just a real upside. And yeah, Jesse Bates was just a home run signing for the Falcons this year. Uh, he's really going to solidify that safety position and that back line. So I loved seeing him come in. Now, I don't know if you've heard this yet. I only heard about this um, as I was reading up for the show that the Falcons are going to sign former Steelers and Titans linebacker Bud Dupree. So,
Yeah, that surprised me. That really surprised me. That came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my buddy and our buddy Terrence Mathis kind of broke that story. He was the
Okay.
first one to put that out. Bud Dupree obviously trained with Chuck Smith, and yeah, I was surprised by that. That one, that's the only signing this offseason that really took me by surprise. It made sense, but I didn't think it would happen. Um,
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting because the Falcons have a lot of edge guys on this team now, and they're going to fight somebody. I hate to say it. Somebody's going to get in their feelings. We always have NFL players who are very sensitive about their playing time, and they're going to get it. And I have a feeling it's going to be one of these young guys. Who that is, I don't know, but yeah, they're going to fight for that. They're going to fight for their edge position. And Lorenzo Card, I think he's safe. Ebiketie is safe.
Yeah.
Bud Dupree is safe. But everybody else, look, put up or shut up.
Well, you also have um,
Oh,
you also have Caden Ellis coming in.
Caden Ellis. Yeah, that's deep. Yeah, somebody's not going to get a lot of playing time.
Well, see, and this is one of the reasons, again, why I say I'm wondering if the Falcons, and I've been talking about it for ever since I've actually been writing and talking about the Falcons. They got to have an edge guy. I'm tired of seeing the Falcons at the bottom of pass rush ratings.
Yeah.
You know, I want some snarl coming off that side. I want some nasty coming off that side. I want the quarterback, I want your opposing quarterback to go under center with his knees shaking,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
worrying about the guy coming at him. And I really want to see the Falcons get that. But considering all these outside guys that they have signed, I'm wondering if they're going to go ahead and move forward with that kind of guy for in the draft. And see, I thought last year, I know that Drake London's been a great pickup, and they used the second round pick on Ebiketie, but I think they did it backwards. I thought they should have taken the edge rusher in the first round. That draft was so deep in the second round that I thought they could have gotten a quality starter. They went for Drake London. Okay. I think London's going to be a worthy player for a long time. Because not only is he tall, takes advantage of his height, but he runs good routes. And he's good at fighting for that, for those contested footballs.
Oh
So
yeah.
I like what we see out of him. I really do. But again, I thought they missed their opportunity last year to get that edge guy. And I still want to see Tyree. I would love to see Tyree Wilson if he drops that far.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm really thinking Tyree Tyree Wilson, and this is going to shock the world if it happens. But something just tells me that Nolan Smith is going to be drafted there, and it's going to catch a lot of people up because you can do so many things with him. You can put him inside, outside with his athleticism,
Yeah,
and with guys like Taquan Graham, Calais Campbell on the outside, you can kind of hide him. You can
right.
put Grady on the outside. You can put him in the middle and blitz him off of David Onyemata. There's so many things you can do with Nolan Smith with his athleticism. So I that's the long shot. I'm
Okay.
thinking Wilson, but I think the Falcons may shock the draft by taking Nolan Smith at 8.
That would be something. That would be something
Mm-hmm.
to say.
It will.
Um, oh, yeah. And, Calais Campbell's the one guy we didn't mention. Calais Campbell coming in.
Right, right.
But I think Calais Campbell's at an age where he's more of a third down guy. He's a guy who's going to come in on third and third and medium, third and long, and be a good pass rushing specialist in those positions. And I like Calais Campbell. I think he's going to be a mentor to the defensive end position on the Falcons when they go to camp, when they do their OTAs. I think he's a mentor for Falcons players more than Mariota's ever going to be for Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Calais Campbell has something he could show you.
He
He has things he could teach you.
That's the thing. That's the thing. He's done it all. He's played almost every position on the defensive line. He prefers to play on the outside. He's a bigger edge guy. It reminds me of when the Falcons had Rashid Hageman. They were able to see. This is one of the reasons why I say the Falcons are leaning towards a guy like Nolan Smith, because you have a Calais Campbell, and when we had Vic Beasley, we would use Rashid Hageman as a guy to command double teams, so Vic Beasley can have those one-on-one opportunities. And I think that's what the Falcons are doing. They're going to use the bigger defensive linemen to command a lot of space and let the athletes. You saw the same recipe with Philadelphia with Hassan Reddick.
Right.
They use a lot of their big guys and just let Hassan Reddick have those one-on-one opportunities.
Well, the thing is, Hassan Reddick not only had the size, he has the speed. And
Right.
That guy is fast.
Mm-hmm. He is. Yeah, he is.
He can not only be a nose tackle, he can be a 3-tech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's that good. So, Tony Wright, we have a question from Tony for Mike, and it says, do you believe that outside linebacker, and I'm not going to try the first name, Ogundege, will be asked to move to inside linebacker to help the team as a rotational piece because he's the odd man out at outside linebacker? Do you think Ogundege can play inside?
Oh man, I don't know about. I think Ogundeji is on the hot seat. I think he's going to be the guy that's sitting on the outside looking in. I think for the most part, it's more likely that D'Angelo Malone will be the backup. He has more athleticism, has better hips. The thing at the inside linebacker position, you have to have good hips. You can't be stiff. You can't have stiff hips. I think his hips are stiff. D'Angelo Malone's a lot more athletic, and he has experience playing in coverage. And we kind of used him last year on the inside and outside. On the inside with Dean P. So he has that experience already at middle linebacker. I don't think it's Ogumdeji. I think he's falling out of favor for the most part. He's good in run defense, but he offers little in pass rush situations.
Yeah. So, Wallace Smith says no, Ogundege can't play inside linebacker. I agree. So, let's see if we've had a lot of comments coming in. Let's go over some of the comments, see what they got. Tony Wright goes to me, says no, the Falcons will not be drafting Bijan Robinson. Tony, I don't want them to draft Bijan Robinson.
It's not out of the question.
But I got a feeling in my gut, and I got a pretty big gut. Okay. So don't go arguing with the gut here.
Right.
So I just have this feeling that this is what they're looking at. Based on
they want more explosive. Arthur Smith said this year that he wants to be more explosive. This is something like long term. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to draft Bijan Robinson.
It doesn't.
But I think again, Arthur clearly stated that he wants more explosiveness. So it's not off the board. It's not my top 3 guys. But if I had top 5, Bijan Robinson is there to be drafted by as a shocker. I think, like I said, I think Arthur really wants his offense to be more explosive, and having a Bijan Robinson there, based on that and that alone, just more explosiveness.
And that's kind of what keeps pulling me despite myself, but despite what I keep telling myself in my head, that it just keeps pulling me. It keeps telling me that, well, Arthur Smith, he had one of the best at, in Tennessee, in Derrick Henry. And Bijan Robinson, all the scouting reports I see on him keep talking about him as a generational prospect, as a generational type running back, a guy who can do it all, like a McCaffrey, a guy who can run tough between the tackles, a guy who's difficult to bring down when he's in space, a guy who can go out into the pattern and do damage for you. From what I've seen, he pretty much, everybody I see says he has it all.
He does have it all.
But the thing is, positional value, running back does not draw a lot of positional value like it once did. And that's why I think it's rough to actually look at it and say the Falcons are going to take him, but I think he's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be available. So, and knowing how Arthur Smith ran his offense in Tennessee, I'm thinking, he wants more than Algier and Patterson as his running backs. And I don't want to see it. As I said, I want to see Snarl coming off that, off that side. I don't want to see it, but it just keeps nagging at me, and I can't get rid of it.
Until the Falcons prove that they can pass the ball, you can't leave out the possibility of Bijan Robinson because they haven't proven that they can pass the ball. So I think he's going to lean on that passing running game until Ritter and the wide receiver group, the wide receiver core, tight end core, they prove that they can be there. So again, you have to think about the future. Cordero Patterson, he is the all-purpose guy, and you have to, at some point in time, think about, all right, who's going to be the next Cordero Patterson as far as taking that. Because one thing Bijan can do, he can split out wide and catch passes out. So you can throw that in there too. So yeah, like I said, it's not something that I think will happen, but you can't leave it out. You can't say it's impossible.
But you can use more Patterson split out as a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. As a wide receiver. Mm-hmm.
So, and that's another reason why it starts nagging me that maybe this is what they have in mind for the offense. Todd, your favorite, goes, is Decent Bennett better option, better than Ritter? Prove me wrong. Care to weigh in on that one? I'm not going to, but
Todd just love giving me a hard time. I love Todd, but obviously he hates me because he wants my blood pressure to continuously go up and up. We're not.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about Stetson.
Tony, I love Tony's comments. I love seeing him every week.
Tony he's he's an information guy. He knows his stuff.
Oh yeah, and he thinks Ebikite and Malone will take huge strides, learning from Lorenzo Carter and Bud Dupree. So, and I think maybe that's another advantage for bringing, for keeping Carter and bringing in Dupree is, again, you've got some veteran presence. You haven't broken the bank to bring in this veteran presence to kind of filter in with young guys. And I think there's always something to be said about having a couple of guys around who can show the young guys what to do, who can show the young guys that this is the NFL and this is how you comport yourself.
Absolutely. Um, that's uh, that's kind of what happened in Indianapolis with Freeney and Mathis. Those guys, like Freeney kind of took Mathis on his wing. He was one of those project guys coming out of college, had the athleticism,
Right.
didn't necessarily have the size, but having a Dwight Freeney who was a veteran at that point. You brought in Rasheem Mathis, they kind of fed off each other. Um, I think that's what you need. Like players, coaches having a good coach is one thing, but having a player there who's done it and
Right.
he's on the field with you and he's that on the field presence and coaching and experience matters to a lot of these players because they're in the trenches. They're seeing with their own eyes.
Calais knows all the tricks. There's nothing
He
Calais
knows
hasn't
all
seen a tackle try and do against him.
right. That's valuable. I think that's a valuable asset. So I'm loving the mix of youth and experience on this team. Like I love it. I think that's how you should. If you go back to 16, the Falcons had a ton of guys that are veterans and they had a ton of youth. So they had a
Right.
nice mixture.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and as I say, they haven't broken the bank. These are, 1-year deals on a lot of these older players. And, you know, and as I say, I think they're bringing them more for experience, more for teaching moments. And they're going to get a lot more out of them than what they get on the football field. In the practice field too, they're going to have an
Hmm.
influence. One thing I'm worried about the Falcons draft. Now they pick 8. They need to get a Pro Bowl superstar at 8. The second round pick, third round pick, fourth round pick, those are all in place. And they have an extra fourth round pick from the Titans for Julio Jones. Then they don't pick till the 7th round. They have 2 picks in the 7th round. To me, that's a rough, and I don't think anybody's really talking about it. That's a tough thing to take out of a draft because, in my mind, as I say, first round, if you're in the top 10, you got to get a Pro Bowler. Second and third round is where you look for your starters. Fourth round, you get maybe a starter backup. And then 5, 6, and 7 is where you get your depth, your special teams guys, your projects. And that isn't going to be an opportunity for the Falcons this season. And does that worry you any, or do you think they're still fairly well covered?
I uh, I think they. I want to be careful about how I say this. The thing is, I believe that the Falcons are in a position where they can say, "All right, let's look for a superstar right now."
Yeah.
I think that could be wide receiver, running back. It could be tackle, guard. It could be middle linebacker. It could be defensive end, defensive tackle. I think they're in the perfect position right now to say, "All right, who has the best potential to be a superstar?" They've covered the everything except for the middle linebacker. I love Jack Campbell coming out of college, and I think he's going to be a damn good middle linebacker. Kind of gives me a little bit of a Urlacher vibe. He's very good in those short yardage cover situations.
Right.
His instincts are incredible at linebacker. I love his instincts. He sees things before it happens. That's the biggest thing at middle linebacker for me that sticks out. His instincts and reading the gaps. Those are things like that sticks out to me. So I think Jack Campbell. I don't know if you would take him at 8, but I think looking at him, he's definitely one of those guys. But I think the Falcons are in the prime position for them to look for a superstar. And like I said, I think the biggest thing it could be any position. It could be tight end, it could be wide receiver, running back. But this is the draft to look for a superstar.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing, between 5 and 6, they don't have a pick. And as I say, this is where you get your depth. This is where you get, guys who are your projects, guys who you're looking at a year or two down the line, guys who are going to be your special teamers, your special team um, depth. They're going to have to rely more, as far as depth, they're going to have to rely more on undrafted free agents after the draft than getting, prospects during the draft.
Yeah, I think they may trade that second pick to move down a few spots and pick up those fifth, sixth round picks. I do think a trade is coming as far as that concerned. Again, I think the Falcons are in a position now that they have enough depth up front. Someone's going to be on the outside looking in. I think it's going to be Ogundeji. I think they're going to explore the possibility of trading him um, for a pick or two. I just look, I like Ogundeji, but I just this team is so deep right now at the edge.
Yeah.
As far as not a superstar, but they have a lot of quality guys at that position. And I think he is on the outside. He and D'Angelo Malone is on the outside looking in. And I think they could possibly seek a team that may be looking for at least depth, get a fifth or sixth round. He's still young enough to kind of grow.
Yeah.
So you can groom him into something. So I think don't be surprised if Falcons have like a draft day trade for to trade one of those young guys. I think that's a strong possibility.
And thinking about it, yeah, I agree with you. That probably is a great way they could do something to get back into one of the middle rounds on the third day. And I really hadn't thought about that, so that's a good scenario. I'm interested in seeing that. I think one of the problems with Ogundeji is he just wasn't a Luakon, and losing to Luakon was just a big left a big hole in the Falcons' defense last year.
Yeah.
And he had a great year last year, and really wanted to see him have that kind of great year for the Falcons. But I was always an Luakon fan, and they just, they dropped the ball as far as being able to fill that spot. Ogundeji can't. I think they're going to do a better job of filling that spot this year than they did last year. So
he's not progressing as I thought he was. I thought he would be much further along than what we've seen. He's good in the run. He's good in run defense, but as far as pass rush, he's just not offering. He's not consistent at all.
Nope. So yeah, you're probably right. You probably are right. I would not be surprised to see him traded for another middle round pick. That's a great observation. Now 2024, the Falcons have 8 picks, and they could have extras in rounds 2, 3, and 4, depending on how Calvin Ridley is.
Oh, I forgot about that. I so forgot about that.
So they got a big draft coming up in 2024. They already got a 4th round pick because Ridley's been reinstated. If Ridley makes the roster, they get a 3rd and 4th. If Ridley signs an extension, they get a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th from the Jaguars. Wow. So potentially they got to have 11 picks next year. They can really build off the experience in next season's draft and kind of move forward from where they are now. You got your veterans, and now you can start bringing in some younger players, some younger stars, some younger talent, and it sounds like a good mix for me. I think they're well set up going into this season and then going into 2024 and how they can build in 2024. There's no salary cap hell this year for the Falcons. Even if, some of these guys are 1 year and out, it's not going to cause salary cap hell for the Falcons. I think Terry Fontenot's done a good job of working his way around that.
Yeah, I think again it has potential of trades being made because the Falcons have quite a few picks in 24. And again, you have guys like Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree, those guys on 1 year deals. So like if
Right.
they have good seasons, they may want to go try to get one last paycheck for themselves, and they might be out. So the Falcons in good position to trade up if a guy falls in the draft for whatever reason.
Right.
They can use those picks to kind of move up, grab a young guy, and use some of the money that they have free, even coming in 24, to go in free agency and do the exact same thing. So they're in a good position as
Yeah.
long as they don't panic and pull a Julio Jones and trade every pick in
Right.
the future and past and present. They'll be fine.
Yeah,
But you can't
exactly.
panic.
I don't see him panicking right now. I see him making solid
hmm
moves.
hmm
We have a preference between Paris Johnson and Peter Skoronski. I like Skoronski.
Skronsky is a mean son of a gun.
Yeah,
Oh my God, I love his game.
yeah, I love
That's
Skoronski. So, and say what you want about the Big Ten. Big Ten really produces offensive linemen.
yes, they
You
do.
want a big, nasty offensive lineman.
hmm
The Big Ten is the place where you want to get it.
Absolutely, I love Skronsky. I actually had him. Uh, I think my first mock was Peter Skronsky.
Okay.
That was my first mock. I just love nasty physical offensive linemen.
Pantera, I looked it up earlier today. Ridley is a 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. So I actually did go online and look up the deal. So sorry.
Pantera, don't try to pull that. You're not gonna pull that on Tom. Tom knows his football. Don't do that.
My research. Just because of that question, because of that reason. I wanted to see how they were set up for next year. So yeah, it's a 2nd if he signs an extension. So that's where we're going. All right. Well, damn, we're running out of time.
Well, right. That always happens with
I know. I look at it about the 10-minute mark and I'm thinking, how are we going to fill 50 more minutes? And then the next thing I know, we're here.
right.
It's amazing. But Mike, I want to thank you for coming on.
No problem.
This is just outstanding. I love having you on.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. You're always a favorite of Dave and I. So
I appreciate it. I really appreciate that. AFN really loves what you guys do over here. We're forever a partner, and like I said, we're here. We're here.
Yeah.
Here to support a lot of people, even in the chat. Big fans of you guys. I tell them all the time about the conversation that we have, and like I said, not everyone is Falcons fans, but we're football fans, and that's what matters. We enjoy the game. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Enjoying the game, and by the way, people probably never heard me say this before, but I've always loved the Chicago Bears style of football: rough, rugged defense, running game, good offensive line, a quarterback that can just manage. I've always loved that type of game. So yeah, I'm a huge, huge Mike Singletary fan. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Singletary fan.
God, I love those days. Man, that was just incredible. Yeah, because it seemed like every game that they did, they had to focus on Mike Singletary's eyes at least once.
Right, right.
It's just incredible.
He talks so much crap, but you couldn't do anything about it. You couldn't do anything about it.
My biggest Mike Singletary memory, and we're going over a little bit, but this
Mm-hmm.
is NFC Championship game against the Rams. Rams are talking, crap. Eric Dickerson's talking crap. Well, the Bears are talking crap too. But Eric Dickerson, 3rd and 1, has a wide open. You could drive a truck.
Ooh. Oh, man.
Way. And Singletary filled the hole. Eric Dickerson's got a full head of steam up, and Singletary stopped him in his tracks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Went nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And just the sound. And I'm telling you, I think it was the first on-air orgasm because I think John Madden just blew it up all over.
Oh, yeah. Madden calling games.
Oh
my God. It was brilliant.
I think Madden saw that play and just couldn't help himself.
Yeah.
So, Singletary was a favorite of Madden's ever since that.
Mm-hmm.
And just hearing the collision between those two, and Singletary was a short guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Singletary in person. He wasn't a tall guy. But man, he
brought the wood. He brought that guy was just one of those guys. He was just a man's man. At the end of it, he was just a man's man. It's hard to get to those guys like that. There was nothing you could do that would get him off his game.
Nope. No, I loved him. He was one of my favorites. Still is. But Bears have a great middle linebacker, and I really got to stop here because we could talk about another hour on all of this.
Right.
Oh God. But I want to thank everybody for being here. Remember, Prize Picks, the sponsor of the show. Sign up with Prize Picks. Deposit $100, and they will match up to $100 of your first deposit. Use the code ASU to get that match, and be there because we got a lot of sports. Sports never ends these days. It just all keeps overlapping each other. Sports never ends. You can go MLB, NHL, NBA. NBA playoffs are starting. I mean, we're getting into some heavy.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, we're getting into some heavy sports season. So, go ahead and sign up Prize Picks, support the show, support the site. Mad Mike, it was outstanding having you here. I loved it.
I love it.
Great talking football like this. Everybody who commented, everybody who stayed with the show for the last hour, I appreciate you. I love all of you because you spend an hour of your Saturdays with us on Saturday. And, it's just incredible that, really gets me that you do that. And I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And for everyone out, until next week, one more week till the draft. Everybody have a great week.